Hello and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics. Today we're going to go over a Carl Barks Donald Duck volume from Fantagraphics. Please stay tuned. Before we begin, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, comment down below as you watch the video with your thoughts, questions, all that stuff. If you are shopping for any comics or graphic novels, please do so over at organicpricebooks.com, the best place to buy your comics or graphic novels. Great, safe packaging, the best customer service, and when you do so, use my promo code TaylorTalksComics, all one word, TaylorTalksComics. That'll save you $2 off your order. If you're going to order 4 or more books there, though, you want to save 5% off of that big order, use my other promo code, TTC, ship it together, all one word, TTC, ship it together. All that information and where to follow me on social media is down below in the notes of this video. So now today we're going to be talking about Donald Duck, the Maharaja Donald. Hopefully I said that right. Low hit, I know you're watching. I had to get that pronunciation right from my friend Lohit from India. So yes, this is the earliest volume that Fantagraphics has released of the Donald Duck collection, or the Carl Barks collection, I should say. I have a video on my channel showing off all the volumes they have released so far, and this is volume 3 in their collection. They have released them out of order. Or no, sorry, this is volume 4. I keep getting that wrong. This is volume 4. Volume 3 is coming out later this year, so that will be the next earliest volume they've come out with so far. But this one is the Maharaja Donald, and that's the that titular story is the one that kicks us off this volume. And my goal this year is to read one of these volumes every month, and then do an overview review for you guys. Because I love Carl Barks. Talked about in that video too, where I show off all the books and how great they are. So, showing off this volume, though, they come up a title page, and then they have a credits page, which is great because you're going to get the series designer, which is Jacob Covey, one of my favorite book designers, but also who's doing the color registration, editing, and any of that work that is necessary. And then what printing you have, which is important because some of the volumes have been reprinted with taking out some material or adding material, so that's an important note as well. Great table of contents, all written and drawn by Carl Barks, and all the color restoration credits are down below each story with great page numbers for which pages the stories appear on. Also includes a little disclaimer. This title includes negative depictions and mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and wrong now. Rather than remove the content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation and create more inclusive future together. All right, so this first story is the Maharaja Donald. This is so these are the stories that took place before Carl Barks created the character of Uncle Scrooge, Scrooge McDuck. And when Scrooge McDuck gets created by Carl Barks, that's when really it becomes like an adventure strip. Before it was more of just like a comedy, funny animal kind of strip. But you do get glimpses of that before pre-Scrooge. And this is one of those. This story that kicks it off, the Maharaja Donald, which is the title here too. I should say it too, there's some nice spot gloss on the cover. Really, really handsome volumes. Really great volumes in the collection, these hardcovers. But yeah, this is an example of that adventure strip, which would bleed into the future Carl Barks stuff, where he's got Scrooge McDuck going on these adventures for treasure and whatnot. So this story kicks off too with Donald has this little tiny pencil, and they have is it like a garage sale? Yeah, they have some sort of garage sale, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie are like, oh, sweet, let's get some cool stuff. And Donald gives him this little tiny pencil, and he's like, oh, wow, so generous. And I love the facial expressions too by Carl Barks, by the different characters. They're really characterized as you know they're up to something. Like you know they're up to no good. All the facial expressions, the characterization, the cartooning of like the poses and stuff of the characters, they're always in movement and stuff. Really just a master cartoonist, and why he was known as the good duck artist. Which I talk about that too. Again, on the aforementioned Carl Barks video where I show off all the volumes. Also great with silhouettes. That's something I always point out too, because silhouettes in comics are such a great language to show the character. Like some artists always say, like, you have a good character design for a character if you can see them in a silhouette and pick out who they are. So it was great that. Anyways, so these kids get Huey, Dewey, and Louie get this little tiny pencil, and they trade it up. They trade it up for a ball of string. The ball of string they trade up for a kite, and they trade it up for this coin, and they trade it up for this jewel. And they just keep trading it up and up and up and up until they get tickets to go to India. And then Donald's like, what? Well, then we're all going. And then they go, and then through the story, you'll see that pattern of Huey and Dewey and Louie trading up again will come up another time as they're exploring India. And that's one of the great things about these classic strips like this and Tintin, and Don Rosa's Duck Comics as well. Like, yes, they do have, especially in this era, like the racial depictions might be a little bit like caricaturized, which is unfortunate. Probably have some nasty stereotypes and whatnot. But with that said, the locations and like kind of the culture of where they are was a way to bring kids, teach kids about these locations that they wouldn't know about otherwise. Like you wouldn't know, like in America, pre-internet, pre-Disney Plus, pre-all that, like where else are you going to learn about India and what it looks like and whatnot? So that's the biggest story too. It's like a 24-pager, I think. Otherwise, you get like a lot of these 10-page kind of gag strips by Carl Barks, which are just so funny and great. Like they're making me actually like literally laugh out loud. Some of the funniest comics I've read. This one, Huey and Dewey and Louie are playing baseball on a beach, and they meet this seal who has this great talent with the ball, and then they Donald's going to make rich by having this seal be like a circus act, basically. But then things go awry. Terror in the River. This is an awesome one too, because again, with the adventure strip aspect to it, you're dealing with this giant sea serpent in this story, where they go on this boat, and then all of a sudden, where is it? Oh, the sea serpent comes around, and they have to deal with that. And it's like the great, like the line work that Carl Barks uses otherwise is like this really dead line aspect to it, where there's only like one line weight, and there's not a lot of it's like the clear line style, or the ligne claire style the French call it, like Hergé from Tintin. But you get a lot of the like etching and detail work on the sea serpent, which is pretty cool. And that's the kind of like cartooning and artwork that you expect from Carl Barks later, again, in the line. So that's one of the great things about reading these also, is like you're seeing like a maturation of his art style as it progresses through the years, which is why I'm reading these all in chronological order this year, one a month, to kind of pick those things out in my own brain, in my own little Carl Barks fandom that I have. And then, let's see. I don't want to go through every story, because that's going to bore you to tears. Here's a funny one where Daisy and Donald she's looking at this brawny guy, deltoid bicepa, and Donald's jealous of that, so he starts to work out with the boys to show off how strong he is, and there might be some cheating involved there. And yeah, just a fun little romance comic from Donald Duck and Daisy. Here's Donald reading some Disney comics. Oh yeah, here's my favorite story in here though. Santa's Stormy Visit. So Carl Barks has a lot of these Christmas stories. It's kind of like one of his signature aspects to his comics is the great Christmas stories. That's where Uncle Scrooge makes his debut also in one of them. But this one is a different one. They even say on the back of the book here, and Christmas Without Santa, because this was depicted as a Christmas comic without Santa Claus. Also, within the story, they're afraid that there's not going to be a Santa Claus visiting them. So, Santa's Stormy Visit. They're in this lighthouse. I don't even know if they explain why they're in the lighthouse. but they're on Christmas Eve. They're running a lighthouse for whatever reason. I don't think they even explain it. But they come across, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are writing this last second letter to Santa to make sure Santa knows to visit them at this lighthouse. And they're shining the light down, and Donald finds, or they're shining the light because of the lighthouse. They're trying to operate the lighthouse, but this albatross bird keeps getting in the way. So Donald gets angry at that. He's trying to fight the albatross, trying to figure out why he hasn't flown south. And there's a big giant rainstorm. Huey, Dewey, and Louie get this idea to tie the letter to the albatross and send him off to go find Santa. But then there's a giant rainstorm. They don't know if the albatross is going to make it. And Donald here is getting worried that the boys aren't going to get their Christmas because he's trying to secretly sneak out, get off the lighthouse, get to the land to make sure that their Christmas presents arrive. But then the storms get there, so that Donald can't do that. The albatross can't get there. They don't know how they're going to get their presents. But through the magic of Christmas, they get their presents anyways, which the present they wanted was a giant turkey dinner, which I will admit is kind of odd throughout the number of times throughout this book that you see ducks eating a turkey. I don't know. Is that weird? Let me know. But yeah, so just a lot of great funny stories in here, a lot of 10-page gag strips. So if you're wanting like a funnier volume of Carl Barks, I would definitely try this one out. If you're wanting to see that kind of maturation and progression of his artwork and how good it would develop from like one of these earlier volumes to the later volumes, also pick this one out too. And that's the great thing about these volumes is that you don't have to pick them up in order. They release them out of order. Here's them eating a turkey again. And it doesn't matter because you can pick up any volume. These comics back in the day were written to be in such a case that a kid could pick up any issue and pick it up and enjoy it. So they're written in that fashion. These volumes also operate in the same fashion. You can pick up any of these volumes and enjoy it. So if you've not tried a Carl Barks comic book and this video inspired you, let me know in the comments. I hope it did. These are repurposed covers too. These are just taking a panel out of a Carl Barks volume from earlier and then repurposing it with CBL, Carl Barks Library, and putting a title on it. So these weren't actual comic book covers. These were just kind of repurposed, I think, for the purpose of an earlier, was it like the Gladstone or something? Earlier volumes of a different company that published or reprinted some of these stories. Back here too, in all these volumes, you get these liner notes where you have these different people write a little essay about the stories within. So the Maharaja Donald gets a little essay from Francesco Stehano. And then he also writes one about seals are so smart. So little essays about each story too, depicting, they might talk a little bit about the historical value of Carl Barks and why he wrote that story, or how it might come up later, something significant might come up later within it, or might just be talking about the story itself and kind of interpreting it in a kind of a poetic fashion, talking about the story within the story, if you will. This is Atom Bomb. This was a special thing that you can, I think you, like cereal boxes, in your Cheerios box, you got like a special code and you sent that in and they sent you back a comic. And they had, I can't really see it, Dumbo, Mickey, I can't see what that one is, and Donald. So they had 4 different ones. And this is how it was packaged, is just this long landscape strip. So they repurposed that actually in here. Donald's Atom Bomb is actually in this volume, if I can find it. Alright, let's go to the table of contents because I'm not going to be able to find it on my own. But they repurposed it and like kind of shuffled around how it was laid out to make it work for this book. And why can't I find it? Oh, there it is, 145. There it is. So in the strip that you got, when you bought it from the cereal box or they sent it back to you, it was, like I said, it was just this long strip. So each page had a strip like this. This would be one page, then you flip it, and this would be one page, and this would be one page. So the way it's written too, you'll notice that as well as like, it has like a gag in the third panel. So it's written as like a daily comic strip almost. And they just repurposed it and smashed it together into it so that it looks like any of the other comics that are in this volume. But that story's really funny too. It's all about Donald creating this atom bomb and how odd that could be, or how that can go awry. This one has a kind of a parody of Batman in it too, which is funny. So a lot of great stuff. Let's see. So that's the atom bomb one. And then here's a little essay about Karl Barks, his life, a little historical piece there. Here's all the people that wrote the essays and their contributions and why their qualifications, I guess, for why they can write that. Where do these duck stories first appear? They give you each issue, each story that was in this volume and which issue it appears in if you're wanting to track down the entire issue of that, which would be pretty cool. Here's where they talk about the covers that they repurposed that I talked about earlier. Here's the Karl Barks library and all the volumes that are there. New Disney comics and other Disney comics that are available. So yeah, great volume. Let me know in the comments if you're a fan of these if Disney comics, if you're a fan of Karl Barks, Don Rosa, Donald Duck, whatever. Your thoughts on this volume or other volumes or questions about these that I can maybe answer for you. And give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Stay tuned too. Go to the live tab on my channel. I have a live show every week. You can watch past episodes in the live tab. But I go live once a week, so stay tuned. Subscribe for that too, so you don't miss out when I go live, where I go over all the comic book news. And don't forget those organic price books codes that are in the notes down below, the description down below. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Read more comics.